Good morning, this is Minister Paul. It is 10/17/2012 at 11 a.m., basically 10:59, Northern California Pacific Standard Time. I want to do a quick update, a shorter version of my dream of being in Chicago for those who don't have time to watch the entire video. So just let me go straight into it. This is the same dream, just in a shorter format. An earthquake had came in Alta Sierra, California. I doubt if I could find it. I know I don't want this to run long, but it was on the 15th, so we could go by date. And I'll just give you a real quick. This is the quick version. Remember, this is, I'm going to, here it is right here, praise the Lord. Okay, so this is where I did the wedding. I'm going to upload the wedding today too, and I'm also going to give a Wednesday word. So what I did was, because we have family here and it's only 45 minutes from me, of course I was concerned. And this is, where my nephew lives and my wife's dad, where she grew up her whole life actually. I ran these coordinates, but I ran them without the N and W. I ran them in Google Earth. Everybody see that? And this is where it took me to, this area. And since that dream already, this area down here has been hit with an earthquake already. Part of it, it's already coming true. So God said to watch North Korea, South Korea, Japan, and China in this whole area. So that's how I from an earthquake, these numbers, if you run Alta Sierra, the city, let's just do that, you will see that it lists different coordinates. Okay, I'll try to do this as quickly as possible. Let's look at the coordinates. I know, and I'm trying to go as quickly as possible. See, they're off. They're 397444, and then they end in 39. And I also want, there's the area. I live like roughly like right here. I also want to show you something else. It's 11/11. That's the date I went into ministry, and it's also my address for those who follow my site. Less than 7,000 people live there, but look, it's a 911. So these coordinates are wrong. So the coordinates that that the USGS is being inaccurate are seemingly coming true. So I punched in these into Google Earth and it showed that area. And the way my dream ends, the way my last video ends is the Rappahannock. Here's the story on the Rappahannock. The USNS Rappahannock fires up vessel. I was on this ship. I want that to be very clear. I was stationed on this ship for a year doing what's called naval force protection. We had special weapons. It's called urban rifle and shotguns, not just handguns, but more than that, to protect naval vessels under what's called the FBI Joint Terrorism Counter Task Force. So it was amazing to me that the ship I was on in 2004 had their force protection had fired upon somebody in this area. This area is also what God has had me watching. And so see this area, you just double click it. I've been watching this. You see, this is the area where the shots were fired. We'll double click it again. There's the UAE. This is where the first shots were fired, and I made a video in July about it. Well, here's a better video for you. It's called Sestec 2010, and it tells the whole story of how the shooting came about. Does that help everybody? Because I'm not going to put links, so please just take note of all this stuff, because I want to put out a Wednesday word. So this morning I go to check the news, and I found this story on Google provides sneak peek inside data centers. So I clicked that and I found images. I am amazed that 3 days after the dream. Remember how I said it was a gold satellite type thing? This is it. This is what I saw in my dream in Chicago. This was actually floating out of the black clouds. You know what this is? This is Google's data mining satellite. This is what I saw. This is today's story. This is they've allowed a one-time sneak peek into their data mining. Look at this, and go read the article right here. I'll put the link up here in the window. It has a link for you to go check and see what they're doing in Hong Kong and Taiwan, Singapore, Belgium. Basically, we are owned, and the government is attempting to take over and own us. Look at that. 7-3. No one can deny that, okay? So that's that's kind of how that came about. It started with the real earthquake, and that's the story of the Rappahannock. So, and that's how you can find, just click this right here, go to Dredge, click this, it'll take you to photos, click this one, and then go all the way down. And I was amazed when I saw this, actually. It'll take you to that photo of what I saw. Everybody with me on that? And then also keep in mind that the NSA is coming to completion shortly of them spying on us in Utah. So what I want to say is we're heading into it. Are you aware that the NSA is building the largest spy center ever in Utah, and they're almost done with it? You're aware of that, right? You're aware of this story? So we're just everything. There's no longer any freedoms in America. So see, even if I tried to, I couldn't find that picture again. But you saw it, and I'm amazed that God showed me that. Here it is. Let's put this up. As I give my dream, let's put this up, okay? So I'm in China, in a consulate in Chicago. The Chinese, I'll put it in real time. The Chinese consulate. I didn't even know they had a consulate in Chicago, and I've never been to Chicago. I'm going to share this dream. Chinese consulate, Chicago. I'm living in this out on a balcony. Chinese consulate, Chicago. Last time it just popped right up. Let me see if it'll work. Good. Okay, so here's my dream quickly. I want this to be a short video. I'm living in this high-rise inside the Chicago consulate, which is right here. Okay? And I just got off the phone in real life with my pastor and explained this dream. He has an interpretation, but he wants to pray over it, and he's going to get back to me. I don't know how long that'll take. So here I am. I go down to ground level. In my dream, I'm living in this Chinese consulate, and I've been given all this equipment. One's to monitor, and it has a view of Lake Michigan. Okay, one of my equipment is to monitor. I'm living out on a patio. I'm in Chicago, living on a patio. And I'm given all this equipment. There it is. See these? Go a little closer. See how there's like balconies and stuff, and there's all these roads. I'm living on a patio in the Chinese consulate, and I have in front of me a Geiger counter to test radiation, and I have a thing that can detect particle matter in the air that doesn't belong, and I have an earthquake thing that can detect earthquakes, and a computer. And what's odd about my dream is, instead of having all this printed out and sent via server or all our technology, texting or smartphones, I have a pen and scratch paper. All my data has to go on scratch paper. It's the most bizarre thing, okay? I'm just kind of showing you how they have like patios outside and a little bit of the area. I've never been here. I've actually never been here, but this is what I'd have seen if I'd have looked out my window. Well, anyway, this big cloud, matter of fact, look at the clouds. This big cloud, storm cloud, just like this appears up, and it's pure black. And immediately out of this cloud, the first thing that comes floating out of this cloud, it causes an earthquake. Now, watch, my browser's going to lock up. It always does this. This is just common. My internet will go down when I try to do these streams. This comes out of the cloud. Just bear with it. In the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. This comes floating out of the cloud and it causes an earthquake. This sends a signal down, follow me. And then the other thing that comes out of it looks, I can't even describe it. There's a bomber and I want to say like an F-16 jet. They're flanking these two satellite type things that are coming out of the sky that came out of the black cloud. The bomber and the jet are there to defend these things with deadly force if needed. So they come out of the cloud right here as I'm looking. My radiation meter goes off, my earthquake meter goes off, and the particle meter goes off. All the power goes off. The street lights go down. It just goes boom, and they come floating out. I still can't shake it. 3 days later, I can still see the weather satellite and the radar satellite, which turns out to be this. This is what I saw. Just keep that in mind. This comes floating out of the sky. It turns out it's Google that owns YouTube. So there's something to this. So I go running in the door. There's a door there that leads from the outside patio to the inside. I go running in, and Pastor Larry, a guy I've done revivals for, that's all we do is revivals. We bring the fivefold ministry together. The prophet, the pastor, the evangelist, the teacher, and we do a week-long revival. We did it in April of 11 and April of 12. That's really all I have to do with him. We don't do any business together. I don't go to his church. So he's sitting there at a desk with these two women, and one of them's pure evil. And I'm telling him about all of this. I'm like, Pastor Larry, the entire street is gridlock. This thing came flying out of the sky. It caused an earthquake. I jotted down as much data as I can. And I can tell he's praying for me under his breath, because what I'm trying to tell him, there's two women in there. They're both blonde, kind of Hollywood types with wearing business attire. They appear to be like our bosses. That's where it gets weird. We're not doing ministry. We're there doing work, and we're getting paid for this. I'm outside looking, watching, and he's inside at the desk. Just as if I'd go visit him in real life, I'd go to his office and he has a desk. The only thing is that these two women, I said, Pastor Larry, you have to come and see this. This satellite came flying out of the sky. It created an earthquake. Now remember, I'm in the Chinese consulate. Don't forget that part of it. This turns out it was a Google satellite. That's why I said it was pure gold. You're looking at what I saw. So he says, welcome. These are his exact words. He says, welcome. I just talked to him on the phone in real life. In the dream, he says, welcome to Chicago. It happens every day. And then he looks up at the two ladies, and he's kind of nodding me to get out of there, kind of like, this is something we need to discuss away from these two people. So there was these platters of food, like turkey slices and ham slices and bread and fruit. And I start gathering as much as I can carry in my hands, because I knew I was going to be out there for a while. And the woman, she goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm hungry. And she said, get outside and do your job. And I turned to walk outside, and I looked at Pastor Larry, and he had bowed, and he was praying for me. And I said, ma'am, I'm just hungry. And I turned around and looked at her, and I saw a demon in her. I believe it was Jezebel that I saw had infiltrated the church. And then I woke up. And now I've even talked to Pastor Larry and made him aware of this dream. Peace.